Well, hi there, everybody. Peter Greenberg here on this first day of September 2022. Happy Thursday, wherever you happen to be. I'm in New York today, and welcome to another global travel update. You know what to do. Send in your notes, and I'll answer all your questions. But first, a lot of things to talk about in the news. You may have seen that as of today, the U.S. Department of Transportation has put together like a dashboard where consumers can find out what they're entitled to if their plane is delayed or canceled. This coincides with 9 out of 10 of the largest U.S. airlines announcing quote unquote new policies. I'll talk about those quotes in a second. That if your plane is delayed by more than 3 hours, they're going to give you a meal voucher. And if it's delayed longer than that or canceled, in many cases, they'll get you a hotel room, even transportation to and from the hotel. The reason why I say the words new in quotes is because those policies have been in effect at every airline for a long time, but they never made them all across the board, meaning they left it up to individual supervisors at individual airports on a case-by-case basis, not to mention based on what fare you paid, if you were a mega million miler versus somebody with a pair of Birkenstocks and a Lonely Planet book, you get the picture. Now it's across the board. However, having said that, two important caveats here. Number one, call me a cynic. I still don't expect the airlines to automatically volunteer this. This goes back to the days of trying to get a refund during the pandemic. So you're going to need to ask for it. And the second caveat is there is one asterisk here, and it's a big one. The airlines are off the hook and not liable for anything if the delay or cancellation is caused by weather. Now, that brings up another issue. How do you define a weather problem? Let's say you're going from Los Angeles to New York, and your flight is delayed or canceled because of weather. Well, you look out at the terminal and it's a beautiful sunny day in Southern California. You call your friends in New York, it's a beautiful sunny day in New York. No weather, right? Well, it's a little more complicated than that. And the airlines aren't necessarily lying about this one. It's about where the plane assigned to your flight is flying from to get to you. And if there's weather there, that's a reason for a delay or cancellation. Or, as it happened to me the other day going from Dallas to New York, if there's a weather front they think it's going to move in just about the time you're going to be landing, rather than putting the plane in the air and then having to divert because they're low on fuel, they'll delay the departure. So weather is still the big exception. Be aware of that. All right. Now, I want to report on my experiences this week as I've been flying through the system. And it gets a little crazy. Let's start with Monday. I was going on a 6 a.m. flight, very early morning flight from LaGuardia to Atlanta on Delta. This is the scene at the airport. Show the picture. See that long line? No, that's not the line to check in. That's not the line for security. That's not the line for baggage. That's the line to get into the club. I mean, what's the point of having a club that you pay for that's supposedly somewhat exclusive if you can't get in? They actually had a Delta agent at the door essentially taking attendance, and they'd only let you in if somebody else walked out. The same thing happened a few hours later when I changed planes in Atlanta going to Tulsa. Crazy stuff. And that's just at the club level. How did this happen? It happened because the airlines gave away memberships all too easily by coordinating with credit cards and other mileage programs and other promotions. It's out of control now. They are oversubscribed. Gee, would that be like overbooking a flight? Well, they have some experience in that, don't they? So that's the first Delta story. I got to give you the second one. It made me laugh because I had never heard it before. I've never heard of a country doing this before, but they did it. Delta used to assign a 767-300 to fly from the US to Ghana in Africa. Well, this plane was known internally at Delta, trust me, as a hangar queen. You know what a hangar queen means? It's always breaking down. Every airline has a few of them, just like, you got, lemon cars. Hangar queen. Well, this particular plane would either break down and not be able to take off, or would take off and have a problem and have to divert and come back to the airport and never make it to Ghana. It got to the point where the authorities in Ghana issued a new rule. Did they ban Delta Airlines from going to Ghana? They did not. they published the actual tail number of this plane, which, by the way, I'll share with you. It's N195DN. It's a 767-300. And they made an order. They banned the plane. They won't let that plane anywhere in their airspace. So, you know what? I thought that was funny. I'm just sharing that with you. Okay, now let's talk about what's going on with all the stuff that's going on this weekend. Today's the big travel day. It's not going to be tomorrow. Airlines are going to be crowded. Airports are going to be crowded. It's the last big hurrah of summer. And then hopefully, because as we enter the fourth quarter, there might be some more stability. Well, let's talk about that. It's going to be a mess this weekend again, and we haven't even thrown in weather, right? It's going to be a mess because everybody wants to get that last trip in. However, the airlines are looking at their forward bookings, their future bookings, and they're not really materializing. They're very soft. So as early as last week, Southwest Airlines was saying that any flight from September 8th to February 15th of next year, the fares start at $59. That was followed by Southwest then saying, we're going to take 25% off our base fares to and from Florida, Hawaii, the Caribbean, and Mexico. And in the next couple of days, expect American, United, and Delta to follow suit on a number of their routes. Now, at the same time, remember, these are the airlines that are slashing flights from their schedules. American already took 31,000 out for November. British Airways already canceled 10,000. It's a very soft fourth quarter for a number of reasons. I talked about some of this last week. Americans were bound and determined to fly anywhere this summer at any cost, and they spent the money. They've got their credit card statements now. They're reacting from that sticker shock, and many of them have made the decision, with the possible exception of Thanksgiving, a holiday where I never want to travel for other reasons, by the way. They're going to stay home. So you're going to start to see airfares going down, and maybe by 10 or 15% every 3 or 4 weeks for a while, simply because there's no traffic. So not because the airlines have solved their pilot shortage, not because they've solved their schedule problems in terms of overscheduling flights, not because they've solved their other staffing problems. It may be an easier time to fly simply because the numbers aren't there. All right, so there's what's going on with that. Now, it doesn't stop things from getting crazy at the airport. And if there's one thing that drives me nuts, it's the lack of common sense in rulemaking that airlines have in the pursuit of revenue. There's a guy who invented something called the Scott E-vest. You know what that is? It's a coat with something like 32 pockets. You actually wear your luggage. And therefore, they can't charge you for a bag or charge you overweight. Okay? I'm going to show you a video. Some of you may have seen it because it went viral, but it's worth seeing about how one passenger dealt with a very stupid rule at Spirit Airlines. And before I show you the video, hold on, before I show you the video, let's remind everybody how Spirit makes their money. They don't make money on the airfare. They make money on the fees because they're not taxed at the same rate as airline tickets. That's why airlines like Spirit and other airlines can charge you $20 fees, but $100 for a bag, et cetera, et cetera. So they are focused on generating revenue from that. And now let me introduce you to the incident with the skateboard at the gate.
What is it? $90?
$89.
$89.
$89
Because it doesn't fit in here. Okay. Here we go. This should do the trick. All right. How's that?
That was unnecessary, sir.
One of the flight attendants just came over and handed me these. He's like, I saw what they made you do. I'm sorry, man. He gave me these. Yeah, you can have it, buddy.
I don't want to.
That happened. It reminds me of what happened to me one day when I was checking in on a flight in Atlanta to go into Orlando on Delta. And they had those luggage sizers out there. And I had my briefcase and I had my laptop, right? My personal item. And on the way to the gate, this is a true story. It ended up being on MSNBC that night. It was a slow news day. It was probably the lead story. And as I got towards the gate, I went and bought a New York Times, a Wall Street Journal, and a big bag of gummy bears. I love Swedish fish. They didn't have them. I went for the gummy bears. When I got to the gate, and by the way, I was a pre-board because I was flying up in front. When I got to the gate, some automaton agent determined that the gummy bears was an illegal third bag. I'm not kidding. And she said to me, "I'm sorry, sir, that's going to be $50. You're going to have to check one of these bags." I said, "It's a bag of gummy bears." And she said, "Sorry, that's the rule." So I said, "Okay, as long as you want to make my life miserable, let me return the favor. I hereby declare excess valuation on the gummy bears to the tune of $5,000. For those of you who don't know this, you can double insure your bags at an airline for what they call excess valuation up to $5,000. And it's like, $10 per $1,000, whatever it was. I was going to spend $50 on that, which was going to create so much of a paperwork jam for her. She got the message, but not really. Because then she said to me, all right, I see what you're doing. Then you're going to have to pack that bag of gummy bears in one of your bags." And I looked at her, I said, "Do you know what I'm going to do once I pack this bag of gummy bears in my bag? I'm going to walk down the jetway. And the minute I enter the plane," and by the way, the entire line was watching this. So the minute I enter the plane, I'm going to unpack the gummy bears and I'm going to hand them out to everybody. Who wants gummy bears? That was the lead story that night on MSNBC. Gummy bears, taste treat, or luggage. The stupidity has to stop. Simple as that. So that skateboard story is true. You saw it. And then comes, we've all heard of unruly passengers. Well, there's also something called an unruly gate agent. By the way, this gate agent was suspended. What a surprise. It was also Spirit. Let me set the scene for you. I'm not going to play the audio on this video because the language is not appropriate, but a woman came off the plane very angry because they'd overbooked the flight. She didn't have a seat, and she was not going to be denied getting on that plane. Look what happens. All right, there's the woman. She's talking to the agent. She's saying, "I want to get back on the plane." He won't let her back on the plane. She's screaming that they won't let her back on the plane. And then, here it comes. Wait for it. She pushed him. Now, that wasn't enough. She spit at him. That wasn't enough. Here it comes again. It's going to happen. We're going to go around the corner. And wait for it. It's coming. Oh, other people try to intervene. Oh, now she's pushed him again. She's not happy. They're pushing him back now. And then, she slaps him. There it goes. Now it's on. And he tackles her, ladies and gentlemen. It's on. It's WWF at the Dallas airport, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody's in now. And there you have it. Another fun day at Spirit. He's still going. He won't be stopped. Anyway, we can stop the tape now. Bottom line is, he was suspended. But that's what happens when you oversell a plane. People get angry. I'm not justifying anything, just sharing some entertaining video with you as we prepare for Labor Day weekend. Okay, I'm going to show you our little trivia question photo of the week now. I'm going to ask you this question. Get ready. This is me. When was this photo taken and where was it taken? Yep, that's me. Looking very dapper there. See if you can name where it was taken, and most appropriately, to make me feel really old, when it was taken. All right, let's go to the comments and hellos for everybody today as we answer some more questions. Camilla's saying cheers from Tucson. All right, Robin's saying happy Labor Day from Williamsburg, Virginia. Francois is saying bonjour. Bonjour, okay. Bonjour aussi. Priya's up. Priya's back in, she's in Irvine today. And Paul's saying hi from Brooklyn Heights. Okay, or Brooklyn, I should say. Gail's in Pennsylvania. Happy Labor Day. Jeremiah's watching from Tanzania. By the way, a reminder for those folks living in the Southern California area, they're repeating Tanzania the Royal Tour this coming Tuesday, September 6th at 7 p.m. on KCET. So if you have PBS, you can watch it. If you don't have PBS, you can watch it anytime. It's streaming, available on Amazon Prime and Apple TV+. But for those of you in Southern California, it's on PBS on KCET, 7 p.m. on the 6th of September. Hello from Pennsylvania. When is the best time to buy airline tickets to Spain or Portugal for mid-June? Well, it ain't now. Absolutely not now. Their computers are not set up for it. You're not going to get a great discount. What I would do, and by the way, mid-June is a gray area. If you go early June, you got a better shot. Mid-June, it's the prices start going up. But what I would do is wait till around February. They're going to look at their advance loads and make determinations then on the fares they'd like to set. But I'd take a look at it then, and then at about 54 days out. Again, I caution you that mid-June is not going to guarantee you a necessarily lower fare. Okay. Gilbert's calling in from Arusha in Tanzania. Peter's saying, beautiful Madison, Wisconsin. Come home and meet our new chancellor. You know what? I will come home. I'm checking the football schedules. I'm going to be there for a home game this year for two reasons. One, of course, to get to the game. And two, because it's a home game, go up to the best farmers market in America. It's in Madison, Wisconsin. They surround the state capitol. And every grower and purveyor is there. And they have a very interesting rule about that farmers market, which I wish all farmers markets would have. You cannot exhibit at the farmers market unless you're the person who grew the vegetables or raised the beef or grew the flowers. That means that when you're talking to the person there, you're talking with the person who did it. And it really helps the conversation. All right, Patty's saying hello from Kentucky. Michelle Miller, boo, my boo. How are you? All right. Zakia saying hello. Here we go. Edward saying, any lockdown in South Africa? I'm planning to go there in the next 3 weeks, so I'm not aware of it. I'll let you know. All right, here we go. Catherine wants to know, she's from San Diego, what European airlines would you recommend for flying between Barcelona and Rome or Paris? Here's the airline. It's called the train. You do not want to do short-haul travel by air. Not now and for the foreseeable future. Do the train. Get yourself a Eurail pass. Plan it so you can also sleep on the train. You'll save some money on hotels. Please don't do that to yourself. Connecting in Europe now for short-haul travel is, well, it's painful. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Okay, here we go. My friend Angelo Poco. He's calling in from the NCL Prima. That's their new cruise ship, currently in Le Havre, France. He started that trip, by the way, I believe in Iceland. Angelo, nice to see you. Nice to see that the Wi-Fi works on the ship. All right. Melanie. Okay. Oh, Melanie says I recommended the Daniele in Venice. I certainly did about the breakfast on the rooftop. Okay. She wants to know, what after we arrive, is it easy to take the public taxi to the Gritty Palace? Well, depending on where you arrive, you know, the Vaporetto number 1 will stop everywhere you want to go. It's the best way to get around Venice. Okay, Joy says, going to Miami in mid-February, what's a good time to purchase airfare? Well, mid-February, it's tough in Miami. That's where it's most expensive. What I would do is check out other locations like West Palm Beach and Fort Lauderdale. Check it out first, okay? More friends in Kilimanjaro saying hi, and Arusha. Love that. Is there any place online to view security and wait time online? Yeah, well, the TSA has a website. It's somewhat accurate. But the question that Michelle has is, how early would you get to LaGuardia on Saturday for a domestic flight? You haven't told me which Saturday and which airline. Then I'll give you an answer. Susan says, I think Portugal has lifted all the COVID entry requirements. Do you know if this is true? It is. What is the best site to look up on air? I use U.S. Embassy site. I have to tell you, I know the State Department hates us when I say it. I never use a State Department site. The best thing I do is go online and get the local newspapers. Get local information in English. That's going to be your most helpful way to go. Or, here's an idea. Call any of the hotels in town, ask to speak to the concierge. I guarantee you, they will have real-time information. And they'll help you out, even if you're not staying there. Okay. Ali says the lounges at JFK are now trying to combat the overcrowding by only allowing certain members with certain cards assigned hours at the club. You know what? Stop this. As a member of the club, I reserve the right to determine when I'm going and when I'm leaving. Not to mention the fact The other reason for being a member of the club is when things screw up and you're stuck at the airport. You're going to tell me what hours I can stay when you just delayed my flight? I don't think so. Okay. Here we go. We're moving down here. All right. Angela wants to know, when will airfares decrease? Next week. They're going to go down around the 9th or the 10th. So that's like a week from tomorrow. As the airlines have looked at the forward bookings, I've said this earlier in the piece, they have gone off the cliff. Very soft fourth quarter coming up, which also means if you now have a lot of frequent flyer miles lying around and you couldn't redeem them this summer, I mean, who could? Now you can. But what you have to be very careful of are the redemption levels the airlines are charging. If you're a member of Southwest or United or American, you might have a better chance. Delta tends to be a little stingier, and I'm not making this quote up, they're higher redemption levels. And when their head of their frequent flyer program was asked why some of their redemption levels were 2 and 3 times higher than other airlines, his answer, at least he was honest, was because we can. All right. Hello, Debbie from Boynton Beach. Hello from Boston. Hello, Harriet and Jim. Mary Bliss says, isn't a skateboard a weapon on a plane? Not the last time I looked. A baseball bat, yes. A skateboard, no. Look, the way the TSA defines it is if what you're carrying on the plane is perceived as a weapon, even if it's a toy weapon, it's banned. All right. So that's why he got on with a broken skateboard. One picture says 1,000 words. Him kicking that skateboard, cracking it open, tells you everything that's wrong with airline rules, at least the way they're commonsensically enforced or not. Okay, here we go. Mary says, yeah, the trucks are worth more than the board part. Exactly. Any skateboard will tell you, you can replace the board for nothing. It's the wheels. Okay, hello from Fort Collins, Corky. Nice to hear from you. Gail says, the skateboard video is funny and sad. I can't remember the last time I witnessed an airline enforcing the carry-on size. Oh, I see it every day. Every day. And the crazy thing about the carry-on size at other airlines is they'll let you check the bag in for free then. And you'll see bags at jetways, 50 to 60 of them, waiting to be downloaded, basically loaded under the plane, which delays the flight. And the airlines are going after that $50 per bag revenue, but they're taking a 40-minute delay. How much is that costing them in fuel, flight attendant and pilot time, misconnected passengers, misconnected bags, only because they were obsessively pursuing the $50 check bag fee at the counter. Nuts. Okay, here we go. Corky said, would have it made any difference if I'd asked for the gate agent supervisor? In a situation like that, you're referring to the gummy bears. You know what? I was making a point too, right? As long as they're going to be that stupid, hey, mano a mano, guys. And that's how stories get done, right? I'm standing in this line at Delta at LaGuardia, take a picture. That's how stories get done, right? Someone else, it was my cameraman, by the way, in Dallas, who shot that video of the altercation. Guess what? That's how stories get done. Paul wants to know, what's the best cruise line, in my opinion? I don't have a single answer for that because there are 5 or 6 different types of cruises and types of ships. So if you want to get down to specific on that, then we can talk about it. Anna is guessing Glacier Bay, Alaska. Someone else is saying Tracy Arm, Alaska. Iceland, 1985. All right. All those are wrong. All those are wrong. Okay? So, think again. And by the way, you got the year wrong and you got the location wrong. Okay. Everybody's saying Glacier Bay. Okay. Antarctica around 30 years ago. No. Okay. Alaskan cruise 1987. No. 1981 Norway. Eddie May, my old pal from NBC. No. All right. Karen's watching from Delaware. Doreen says, I remember that guy. My old Doreen Ross. Ringer Ross. Hello, Doreen. Someone's saying Alaska 2000. I did not look like that in 2000. I'm sorry. It's earlier than that. Elizabeth wants to know, are cruise lines loosening COVID boarding requirements? Yes, they are. One by one, they are basically getting rid of the pre-cruise test that's been required for passengers boarding ships, even if they've been vaccinated. You still have to show proof of vaccination, as do the officers and the crew. But one by one, there's not a day that goes by that I don't get another notice from a different cruise line that they've gotten rid of those requirements. Check with your travel agent or the cruise line, but those are going away. And the reason why they're going away has nothing to do with the cruise line. It has to do in many cases with the ports, whether the ports will let them in if they haven't had a recent test. Those requirements are now being loosened as well. Okay. Gail says Alaska in 1999. Nope. Okay. Lorena wants you to come to Michigan October 15th for the Spartans versus the Badgers. Well, let me tell you something. I don't go to Michigan games in Michigan because you kill us. Now I know it's the Spartans, that's MSU, but for the University of Michigan guys, that stadium is so intimidating. You know, what is it, 110,000 people? I mean, we lose the minute we walk in the stadium. Okay, here we go. If I purchased a package deal from a travel agent in June, resort with a hotel to Cancun, and your reservations are for October 10th, can you be reimbursed by the travel agency since the airfare should have gone down after September 8th? Well, you bought a package. That's your problem. If you bought an individual airline ticket, that's a transaction that can be dealt with. But if it's a package, you can't split the pie, right? By the way, because they've gotten rid of those draconian change fees, if I buy a ticket today and it's $800 for a trip that's leaving in 3 weeks, and 2 weeks from now the ticket drops to $600, I cancel the $800 flight. That becomes a credit. I don't lose a dime, and I rebook it for $600. Yes, I'm giving the airlines essentially an $800 loan, but I'm not losing any money, and I can apply that to other flights. Jenny says, greetings from San Francisco. Adrian saying hi from Huntington Beach. I hope to get out there soon, Surf City. Okay. Harriet and Jim are saying it was the fjords of Norway. No. Okay, I'm looking. Macon is saying hello from Sunset Beach, North Carolina. I know, Macon. How are you, sir? Okay, do you think Canadian Airlines will have seat sales this fall for Mexico to fly in November? Early November, yes. Later November, no. Oh, speaking of Canadian Airlines, remember my ordeal with Air Canada? Well, it continues because I'm still waiting for my $30 refund when they lost my bag. They charged me for the bag, then they lost the bag. They didn't complete the contract of sale, right? If you're listening from Air Canada, I'm still waiting, and I'll talk about it every week until I get it. All right. Priya says, just returned back from 2 weeks trip to several cities in Western Turkey. Amazing country. I have to go back again. I agree. We just shot a 1-hour special in Western Turkey in the Aegean. That'll be on PBS next year. We love it. You know, not just Bodrum, but Göcek. That's, you know, it's towards the west. Amazing, amazing country. Now, of course, I'm biased. My wife is also from Turkey. So any chance I get to go, you know I'm going. But you were there. You're not married to me. You know I'm right. It's a great place. Steve is saying Alaska 2000. I wish I looked like that in 2000. All right. Colleen Casey says Flathead Lake, Montana, 1992. Absolutely not. Okay. All right. Let's hold on for a second. I'll give you the answer. All right. Very close. Somebody got the year pretty close, but you didn't get the location. That was taken. Misty Fjords. Anybody know where that is? Alaska, 1984. Oh my God. All right. I don't even want to tell you how many years ago that was. I'm not even going to do the math. All right. So nobody got it, but thank you for guessing. By the way, let's, while we got a chance, let's go to the photo of the week. This is a cool picture. Where is it? Where was this picture taken? You should get this. You know what this is, right? You know where it is outside of Munich. It's the Mad King's Castle in Bavaria. Taken by Lizette Pichot. Thank you, Lizette. She says, though I'm scared of heights and the bridge was crowded, I made my way onto Queen Mary's Bridge. Nothing was going to stop me from capturing this breathtaking view of the castle. You know, the Mad King never finished that castle. They actually were really over budget, and the interior designer had to quit. So what you're looking at is an unfinished castle, but he was amazing. This guy was so powerful at one point and so crazy, he had Wagner come in and perform an opera just for him. Crazy stuff. Read up on this guy. He was a little delusional, and then he died very young. How did he die? Anybody remember? Went for a swim in the lake. Never came back. All right, let's go to some of your questions. Oh, I got one more thing to tell you. This is a question that was asked last week, especially since the airlines are losing so many bags, as they lost mine, by the way. It does, in all fairness to Air Canada, it did get returned the next day by a guy named Vern in some Econoline van, but they still didn't perform to the contract. But the airlines have been losing thousands of bags, you know that. Everybody's been asking me, what about Apple AirTags? Do they work? Well, listen to this story out of Florida. Think about this. How many bags were mishandled just in the month of May this year by the airlines? 237,000. Okay? So one of those bags was lost, but the person who owned the bag had an Apple AirTag in their suitcase. And they were able to tell the authorities and the airline more or less where it was. And it was in a place called Mary Esther, Florida. That's not far from the Destin Fort Walton Airport. Well, the police began looking in that Kathy Court area of Mary Esther, Florida, and it took them right to what? And they cross-referenced it to, what a surprise, someone who works at the airport. And that's where they found the bag with $16,000 worth of items in the stolen bag. Obviously, arrests were made. So if you want to know if the AirTag works, it got that bag back, and that's pretty cool. All right, let's go to some questions here. These are earlier questions. If there will be fewer flight options, does that mean prices won't go down in September? No, prices will go down in September because there's so far fewer people traveling. They will go down, right? Anytime after the 8th or 9th. Sandy says, should we book now for a flight in October rather than wait for prices to drop? Well, in about 4 days, you want to book because the prices will drop. Cheryl says, trying to plan a stay in Santa Barbara after a family wedding in October in Santa Barbara. Where should I stay? Well, here's the deal. You don't have to stay in Santa Barbara. Look, we were the ones who did a story, actually on our radio show with Dawn Gilbertson from the Wall Street Journal. She found a Motel 6 in Santa Barbara. The nightly rate was $426 in Santa Barbara. You know what you do? Stay in Ventura or Oxnard and drive about a half an hour. You'll be fine. Okay. Susan says, how does Southwest Airlines handle a death and an unused ticket for a grieving widow? Wow. What I want you to do is to write me, peter@petergreenberg.com, and I'll walk you through the process. It's a little complicated, but there is a way to do it. Okay? Steve says, which airlines are canceling their flights? I'm flying Alaska Air soon and I'm worried. Here's the answer, Steve. Everybody. Now, remember what I always tell you. If you're going to take a flight, reserve the very first flight of the day from that airport, especially if the airline is not based at that airport. Because what that means is the plane assigned to your flight came in the night before with the crew. They all overnighted, and they're staying with the plane. You'll get out. That's about an 80% chance right there. Okay. Francine says, I have a couple of days in Athens coming up. What do you recommend is the must-see sites in that short window of time? Well, go down to Piraeus and get on one of the ferries. Get out of Athens and go to some really cool islands. And I'm not talking about Mykonos or Santorini. I mean, that's Grand Central Station. I'm talking about Paros or Antiparos or Samos or Milos, right? And do an overnight there. You'll have a great time, especially if we're getting at this part of the year. September, October in the Med, perfect. Julie says, what do I know about Sun Country Airlines? I've never flown them, but tickets are cheaper. Sun Country is like one of those below the radar airlines. I have flown them and they do a good job, right? Based out of Minneapolis, by the way. All right. Carolyn said, should I ship my baggage overseas to avoid the chaos of losing it? Absolutely not. Many of you know that I FedEx my bags domestically, and about 90% of the time, I'm not going to check a bag. I'm going to FedEx it, but I would never do that on an international flight. I will check my bag in for a lot of reasons. One, the FedEx charges are exorbitantly high if you go overseas. And number two, your bag runs a very big risk of an overzealous customs officer wanting to impound it just because it's what they do. All right. And they have the time to do it. So no, check your bags. Okay. International flights. All right. Now, let's go back to a few more questions while we have time. All right. I'm looking here. Gail says, I've seen where the newest and most popular cruise now is north to the Arctic. Have you been? Well, it's not just north to the Arctic. A lot of cruises in the summertime are doing something they never got a chance to do before, but thanks to global warming, I suppose, they're now able to do the Northwest Passage, right? From the West Coast all the way through to the East Coast of Canada. So check that out. Yep, it's going to be great. Okay, here we go. Folks in Dar es Salaam are saying hi. Debbie says, can I buy a train ticket to Porto from Lisbon once I land in Lisbon? Yes, you can. If you're landing in Paris from Boston and catching a plane to Barcelona, isn't 1 hour too short for just going through immigration? Absolutely. Who booked that ticket? Debbie. Don't do that. Take the train. Donna, hi, Peter. I'm a travel agent in Maryland. I specialize in travel. I've talked to you before in person. Just want to let you know that I'm going to Seoul, Korea. They are trying to implement a vegan travel program, staying in a temple for a few nights and then traveling around. Hey, let us know how that goes, right? And they've got great open air markets in Seoul where you can buy just about everything you want to do that will support your diet. Okay, hi from the Atlanta airport on our way to Botswana. All right, Sandy, have a great time. Angela says, thank you. Gina's saying hi again from San Diego. Linda, my travel agent booked me on a flight that doesn't exist. Okay, with Swiss Air. The flight that is listed on Swiss Air website allows an hour time to change for the flight to Berlin. I told her she said I could get on the next flight. What recourse would I have if I wanted to cancel? Have you ever thought of talking to Swiss Air or your travel agent again? Anybody who books anybody, whether it's, look, I love travel agents, but they should know better on this one. Anybody who books anybody with less than a 3-hour connect time on an international flight needs to be heavily sedated and put into a corner. It's just not reasonable. Talk to your travel agent. And if the travel agent won't help you, come back to me and we'll give you somebody to talk to at Swiss Air, because you're actually helping them. You're saving them the problem of having to rebook you when that happens. Okay. Steve saying hi, watching from DC. My old pal Melanie Chartoff. We love Melanie. Heading for New Zealand, November 3 to 23. Any travel concerns on New Zealand Air? Absolutely not. Great airline. You're going to have a great time. And you should talk to me offline for some other information about New Zealand, especially whether you're going to go to the North Island, the South Island, or stopping in the way in the Cook Islands. Also a good idea. Okay. Sandy says, okay, now she's torturing me. Sandy says, we have Biscoff's cookies in the Sky Lounge, as many as we want. Laugh out loud. Sandy, I think that's wonderful, but first you got to get in the Sky Lounge. And I'm not standing in a line of 80 people for one Biscoff. That's bad enough when you're on the plane and you can't find one. Okay. Okay, Mary says I was charged extra in the Ukraine because my backpack weighed too much. I get it. They're now actually weighing the carry-on. Okay, Gene's saying hello from Tulsa. Had a great time there this week at the Woody Guthrie Center, part of a show that we're doing for PBS. If you're anywhere near Tulsa, go to the Woody Guthrie Center. And right next door to it is the newly opened, the newly dedicated Bob Dylan Center. Just amazing archives in there, stuff you're going to want to see. And I'm not going to give away the story we did on Woody Guthrie, but it's going to surprise a lot of people, I guarantee you. Okay. All right. All right. Michelle's going this Saturday on Delta, but you didn't tell me where you're going again, Michelle. I'll try to help you. All right. What cruise line do I recommend for Antarctica? I recommend the expedition cruise ships, not the ones that just drive by, but the ones that have, the real hands-on, boots on the ground or boots on the ice programs where you'll get on the Zodiacs and go ashore and really see it. Silver Sea has a great program. They have a new ship that's starting called the Endeavor. For those people who remember Crystal Cruises, that was their new ship that never really sailed for more than 2 months before the line went under. It's now being operated by Silver Sea. Check it out. They've also established a new air bridge down in Antarctica where you fly one way and come back the other. So nobody has to do a double passage through the Drake Shakes. Okay. People are still guessing Patagonia. No, Wasn't Patagonia. Okay, Steve says, what do I think of Delta SkyMiles Amex made from retired 747 metal? Actually, I love the idea. In fact, I've got not credit cards, but I've got luggage tags that were made for me from a retired 767 on American, a retired 757 on American, and actually, for those people who know, one of the fastest propeller planes ever made, a retired P-51 luggage tag, a Mustang. So yeah, okay. Angela says the NCL Prima was christened by Katy Perry in Iceland, which is where we originated. Tomorrow we will be in Amsterdam. And tomorrow, Angelo, now you got to fly out of Amsterdam. Good luck at that airport these days. All right, we're almost out of time. But anyway, listen, guys, remember Tuesday, September 6th, 7 p.m. on the West Coast, the World Tour of Tanzania. Travel Detective Season 7 is on Amazon Prime and Apple TV+. And if you're not on the West Coast, you can see the World Tour of Tanzania on Amazon Prime and Apple TV+. Have a great, safe, quiet, and non-abusive Labor Day weekend. And we'll see you next week with another global travel update with hopefully things will start to calm down. Have a great weekend, everybody.